With the ButtKicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. ButtKicker. The future is feeling.
All right, hello and welcome everybody to the ButtKicker British Endurance PPR E-Series. This is round number 2 from Silverstone, and it's Kevin and Jack back in the booth once again. Jack, how are we feeling today?
Absolutely brilliant that we're back racing once again. We've undergone a name change in the past 2 weeks. Obviously, we had the news that Britcar would change to the British Endurance Championship from the next season onwards. So we reflected that change in so the brilliant round last time at Donington. Fights right across the field. 4-car fight for the win in Class 1. But it was Draper who came away in Class 2. Class of the field nearly 40 seconds clear of the next car he won it by. But it was Luke Whitehead who took the win last time at Donington for PPR in the Porsche. We're looking at his teammate right now, Cody Pride, who unfortunately lost that race win in the pit lane last time, missing his pit box, had to reverse frantically to get back out onto the circuit. But it was a really great battle between himself and the two Morgans of Isaac Rain and David Hornsey right to the finish between those guys there. So brilliant stuff to be back here at Silverstone for this round. The full GP layout as well, so in all its glory, a great circuit, perfect for endurance racing. I think the key point this week, Kevin, is there's far more room to pass here at Silverstone than there was last time at Donington.
Yeah, absolutely. It's completely different, this track here. Still a track that we see F1 race around, unlike Donington there. And it's one of these circuits that you said it's wide open. I expect a lot of overtaking opportunities, but also it leaves a bit more room for error as well. So maybe these drivers, if they make a slight error, can correct it and still maintain their pace. Whereas last week at Donington, I think that was the big mix-up, wasn't it? We saw coming down the hill the two Morgans when they were going at it with one of the Porsches. And we saw a big collision due to that. A circuit like this being so open, might not see something like that.
Maybe not, yeah. So we'll see how we get on in due course in the race. We've got about 19 cars taken to the grid this week, so an increase in grid size, which is exactly what we want to see. This broadcast is, of course, going out on the PPR Twitch channel. To everyone who's watching over there, we're 6 followers away from getting across the 1,000 follower mark. So if you are watching, you are enjoying, please do leave a follow on there, because it would mean a lot to the guys for all the work that goes in behind the scenes on all the different leagues that PPR run, who are, of course, putting this series together and hosting it all. So make sure to do that. Get involved in the live chat as well. Tell us your predictions for today. Who's going to take Class 1? Who's going to take Class 2? I think it's going to be a lot even closer than it was last time at Donington. It was seriously close then. It's going to be close again. We have between obviously the two Porsches, and of course this one of these. It's the Morgan GT2. If you're wondering what it is, it's one of the first times Morgan have taken part in any esports event, and they came away with a podium last time. Last time it was David Hornsey who took pole position as well for Morgan. So I think Isaac was very unlucky last time out in Donington, pulled off a brilliant pit strategy, and then at the end, just unfortunately getting caught up in a small incident with the Porsches up in front, and ended up getting a 4th place finish. But very, very interesting to look at, because the Morgan and the Porsche, they come alive in different parts of the race, and it was the sheer case that Isaac did not need to put as much fuel into the car, and he was able to take a shorter pit stop compared to the Porsches, came out right next to them and was not quite able to convert it, though very close to a win. So the Morgans looking to go very, very well here today. And, well, Kevin, this man, Tony Draper, for want of a better term, he absolutely destroyed the field last time.
Yeah, he sure did. Dominated that class. He was nearly a lap ahead of every other driver in that class, and I think it was all drivers but one in that Tier 2. I think it was Will Foster, and was it Alistair Leckie also up there running in that class? So I think it's going to be competitive there. They're going to keep it going, And it's an entertaining class to watch. I know it's not for P1 overall, but it's still P1 in that class. And with more racers this week, it could be even more exciting.
Absolutely, yeah. So, as of course, in Class 1, we have had the addition of the Radical. We've got 2 Radicals on the grid this week for Class 1 as well, which are really fun to look at. And, well, the first time starting to come in now. It's a long lap around Silverstone, as you can see. And so it's a Morgan Short in, well, I'm putting out perfectly, the Radical. There it is, the Radical RXC Turbo, which is a piece of machinery. There it is, coming across the old pit straight there. But Morgan Short, who was fastest in practice, now the fastest man in qualifying on provisional pole for class number 1. And Cody Pride just behind him by about 0.3 of a second as well. As we know, of course, there is 2 separate championships that are going on at the same time out on the circuit. You've got the Sim Championship for the simulator drivers or the esports guys, and you've got the pro category for the guys who spend more time in racing in the real world than they do in that one. You can actually denote that by the color of the banner over the top of the windscreen right there. So black denotes the pro category and the yellow denotes the sim category. So keep an eye out for that as well as they come through. So you see Alistair Leckie there, and that came in GT4 in the sim category at the moment as well. So keep an eye out for that. There's plenty of action throughout. And it is going to be a very interesting day at the office. But Morgan Short looking very, very good in that Radical, which is a really, really nice piece of kit. It sounds great, looks great. 0.3 currently the fastest man at the top. Cody Pride just behind him, and Luke Whitehead. And then Isaac Rain in P4 there in the Morgan. So very close across the board there. And the new driver in Class 1 this week, as well as Morgan Short, is Nestor Mejia in P5. And we talk about this being a global championship. Nestor is racing from El Salvador. So just think about that. We have a Salvadorian on the grid, which is great to see.
Yeah, Nestor's out there. He's actually one of our followers today. That gave us our first follow, I believe. And also Roll Center and Silent Energy, thank you for the follows as well. We're excited to bring you a fun race here at Silverstone. And, you know, looking through the grid, I'm looking at the gap between Draper and Short. That lap from Draper is absolutely incredible. Look at it. Nearly 2 seconds faster than the next driver in his class, and only 7 seconds behind Mejia in P5.
That is unbelievable for Tony Draper, considering Dunbarry is currently in the same car. He's in the Ginetta, and well, Alistair Leckie just about 0.7 of a second behind Dunbarry there in the Porsche Cayman, which went very well last time. But Tony Draper is in a class of his own at the moment. He's running in the pro category as well, and that Century Sim Racing Ginetta has been going so well. It went so well in Donington, and it looks like it's absolutely on rails there. There is Denny Dunn in the SPR Camaro, the only Chevy Camaro that's out there right now. And Denny, a farmer by trade, and driving a massive Chevy Camaro as well, racing from the States. So good to see him out there in that machine as well. The thing I like about the Chevy Camaro GT4 is that it doesn't look like they actually really changed much compared to the road-going version. Just stuck a wing on it and said, yeah, that's fine, let's go.
Yeah, that's just about it. Maybe a splitter and a wing, and it's out on the track, and maybe a bit of paint as well. I don't think you can get that from the factory. An exciting SPR livery there from Denny Dunn.
Absolutely, yeah. So looking really good at the moment. He's sitting just behind Alistair Leckie by a couple of tenths. He's just over a tenth in front of Alex Day behind him. So we'll see how Denny is able to get on in the rest of his lap. Just about under 5 minutes of qualifying left to go. And it's still Morgan Short, the quickest man. Cody Pride in second, Luke Whitehead third at the top. But just 100th separating Luke Whitehead and Isaac Rain. So that's really close. But at the moment, it's still Morgan Short, and that Radical is going super well. There is Luke Whitehead. Last time out, he's the previous round's winner at Donington, and he was as surprised as we were that he came out with that victory after an incredible race from himself and Cody and the two Morgans of Isaac Rain and David Hornsey. So hopefully we can have more of that today. We've got 6 Class 1 cars compared to the 4 we had last time. Rest of the grid mostly made up of Class 2. So, which obviously has a huge variety of cars as well. You've got TCR cars, GT4s in there, and great to watch throughout the day as well. So 4 minutes left to go now. So really, there's only going to be maybe one more timed lap for these guys, maybe one or two more timed laps for these guys to try and get themselves on to pole position. Standing start, of course, which is the only thing that's different to the real championship. We can't, unfortunately, have a rolling start, so it has to be a standing start, but it does make it interesting to see how they get on. There is last week's pole man just getting caught up behind a Porsche Cayman through turn one. That's not an ideal place to catch traffic, but that was just Landon Carlson there, just getting caught up with the Morgan behind him of David Hornsey. But David, I think he stole pole position from nowhere last week, or last time out at Donington. So I wonder if he's going to be able to do the same thing.
Yeah, sorry, I was looking around a bit here. I guess we're having a bit of audio issues with the game itself. So we'll reset after quali and before the race there to make sure we bring you the highest quality here. How about we go on board with Ole Peterson for a second, because we have his livery loaded this week on that Maserati, and it is quite the livery.
Yeah, it looks great compared to the silver machine we saw last time. Now a vibrant pink and purple machine with the Danish flag on the side of the car as well for Ole Peterson in that gorgeous Maserati GT4. It sounds great, it looks great, and it looks even better this week compared to what it did last time out as well. So Ole from Denmark, of course, just trying to get that pace up a little bit. He's sitting 13th overall, about a couple of tenths in front of Peter Spano, who's in the Ginetta, and Landon Carlson, who's in the Porsche. So he's the only Maserati on the grid. So let's see if he can represent them well. There is Peter Spano, and he's just a ways behind him. But Ole Peterson trying to do it for Maserati there. Just goes very wide at Cobb's Corner, though. So it's a big car to try and steer around a track like here. So he's doing very well so far. Just still probably trying to get it through some of those corners, and he has to obviously just slow it down a little bit. He's have to take to some grass cutting in the middle of Maggots and Beckett. So front engined cars are quite interesting to try and steer through that one. So we'll wait and see how he gets on. But Morgan Short is now nearly half a second faster than Cody Pride, and at the moment he looks like he's going to take a very, very good pole position here for on his debut as well in the series for Morgan Short. So let's see if he can hold on to it, because that Radical looks very, very good around here.
Yeah, it's a beautiful car, isn't it, that Radical? I was looking at the gap mainly between him and Nestor Mejia, because I was curious if it was just the Radical that was that much quicker, but I don't think so. I think this is all Morgan Short right now. He's purple in Sector 1, purple in Sector 2 this lap, so he's improving even more as we head towards the end of qualifying. Only 50 seconds left to get across the line for your final flying lap.
Absolutely. So yeah, Morgan Short looking really good. And then he's obviously a real life racer. He's an instructor at Bedford Autodrome. If all of you know that little circuit there, he's a man who teaches people how to race. So let's see how his experience goes to that as well. From this one, I'm in the 888 machine and turning. Just turning through the first corner there, but he looks really good, and he's now 6 tenths faster than everybody. So he's getting faster and faster and faster every lap he does, Morgan Short. And now, well, it looks like the gauntlet's been thrown down to the Porsches here. Cody Pride and Luke Whitehead, 6 tenths, 8 tenths back for Luke Whitehead, and Isaac Rain 1 full second off the pace of Morgan Short, and David Hornsey 1.5 seconds back with Nestor Mejia in P6, 2.5 seconds behind. So big gaps here, but Morgan Short's got that Radical hooked up as well. That there is, of course, a balance of power in effect as well, so the cars have been made as equal as they possibly can. As Luke Whitehead comes across the line to finish his lap, does improve, but does not improve his position at 2:02.348. So the only man to break into the 2-minute ones is Morgan Short. He'll get pole position for Class 1. And, Tony Draper, once again, by well over a second, takes pole position in front of Alistair Leckie in the Porsche Cayman GT4. So last few laps coming in, but that is I think that's a little bit concerning for the rest of the drivers. That is a commanding pole position for Morgan Short.
Yeah, those Class 1 drivers might have to watch out for Tony Draper. He is mighty quick there in that Class 2. But as you mentioned with Morgan Short, he's dominating Class 1 as well. So I think a lot of these drivers are wondering where he was last week, looking for a bit more pace in qualifying up front with the 2 Porsches. So it's getting them now.
So heading back into pit lane now. Just the checkered flag is coming out on qualifying here. Just 2 cars left out. 1 car actually left out in the circuits. Ola Peterson, who's still out. He's just crossed the start-finish line now to finish his timed lap. So that'll bring an end to qualifying here. That's,
and we'll be
at this one.
Back after this ad.
With the ButtKicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. ButtKicker, the future is feeling. With the ButtKicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. ButtKicker, the future is feeling.
All right, so we are underway here as we get back in. It's the 2 Porsches challenging Morgan Short right at the start. Luke Whitehead goes side by side there with Morgan Short, and Cody Pride's pinching from the other side. We do have movement there as both Porsches are able to get through, as we can see Isaac Rain and David Hornsey there as well. In Class 2, it's still Tony Draper leading the way, and what a start that was!
Well, how do you like that for teamwork from PPR? Cody Pride leads, Luke Whitehead second, now going to go 3 wide down into Brooklands for the first time, nearly. Cody Pride in front of Luke Whitehead, they've managed to get out in front of Morgan Short. Isaac Rain follows behind David Hornsey in P5 and Nestor Mejia in P6. They've managed to go through safely, so great stuff from the 2 PPR cars. That is the dream start for them, and the 2 Morgans now following behind, and the second of the Radicals of Nestor Mejia in P6. Good for him as well. Tony Draper getting away well in Class 2 now as they come down into Cobb's Corner. There he is. He's got Alistair Leckie right behind him. No good start from Alistair. Alex Day right there as, you can see now move through Magnuson Beckett. Morgan Short up the inside into Magnuson Beckett. He gets through back up into second, but look at the gap. Cody Pride now a second and a bit clear as they battle behind, and the Morgans of Isaac Rain and David Hornsey getting right in the mix now as they come on the exit. Look at them now on the way down towards Stowe Corner. Isaac Rain bump drafting Luke Whitehead. Here he comes on the outside, banging doors up towards Stowe Corner. On the outside in the Morgan GT2. Can he go round the outside? Might not be able to do it there. He's close, but not quite able to carry the speed on the outside, and he has to sit behind for now. Great stuff. Great frenetic opening lap here in this round at Silverstone, but Cody Pride now a second and a bit clear of Morgan Short, so that Radical not getting underway on the high fuel too well.
How about down here in Class 2? It's Tony Draper being challenged by Alistair Leckie. There's action all over the place. It's opened up a bit behind them, but props to Leckie for keeping in tow to the man who was able to set pole by quite a few seconds there in Class 2.
Absolutely. So that maybe the Ginetta, just obviously they're running full fuel loads now, so maybe the Porsche just set up a bit more for this. Oh, Isaac Rain's had an issue up there. Look at that. He's gone round in turn 1 or gone wide, so he's down to P6 now. Not all is lost. So he's still only a second behind that battle there, but he won't have got too well away from that, unfortunately for him. So we'll have to see now. Of course, there's a mandatory pit stop in this race as well. They have to change the tires. At the very least, it may not have to take fuel. It depends on their fuel saving. So Cody Pride pushing early on. Let's see if that may come back to bite him later on in the race. Morgan Short, that Radical, just looking a little bit hard to handle on the high fuel load. Whitehead settling into P3 now. David Hornsey runs P4, and he's nicely settled in there as Nestor Mejia running well, actually sticking with these guys for now as Isaac Rain tries to recover from that early little off. Tony Draper now pulls the gap to 1.3 seconds. So it's Draper, Leckie, and Alex Day. Your top 3 in Class 2. Alex Day in the TCR car, of course, the front-wheel drive TCR car, very different to the rest. Peter Spano, Ash Dainty there in the second Camaro. Then Landon Carlson just coming into shot as well as he comes through in the Porsche Cayman. Then there is Denny Dunn. These guys have had to start from pit lane. Denny Dunn there in the Camaro. Then behind is Dunbar Reese in P14 in the Ginetta, and then Ola Peterson brings up the rear in the Maserati down the back. So they've had some small technical issues at the start, and they've had to start from the pit lane. But back to the front, Cody Pride 2 seconds clear of Morgan Short now, so he is gunning for a gap now. So no sign of early fuel saving from Cody Pride in that Porsche. He's in clean air. He's got a chance to push. He's going to 202.9, but he's obviously set the fastest lap of the race initially because he's the first car out on the circuit. But it's a great job from Cody Pride early on, 2.2 second lead, but no sign of him having to save fuel early on. He wants to maybe get as big a gap as he can before he has to make a pit stop. So the question is now, is Morgan Short saving fuel early on? Pushing.
Yeah, look at this from Tony Draper. He's 2 seconds quicker than Alistair Leckie on that lap, or about a second and a half, and everyone else just trickling down the timing charts. And Tony Draper's about 6 seconds quicker than other drivers coming across the line right now. Absolutely dominating Class 2. Only 15 seconds behind Isaac Rain there, who's bringing up the rear of Class 1 right now.
Yeah, it's a great job, and I tell you, somebody else is really performing at the moment as well. We obviously know Tony Draper, he's a machine in that Ginetta, but the Nestor Mejia, really good race pace early on from him. He's actually challenging David Hornsey at the moment. He's stuck in there, and obviously it wasn't the best qualifying from him, but Nestor in his debut as well is driving very well. There's Isaac Rain, who's actually managed to close back up to him again as they come through Maggots and Beckett's now. They begin to file through it. Cody Pride at the head of your shot, then Morgan Short And then the second PPR Porsche of Luke Whitehead, followed closely by David Hornsey in the Morgan GT2. Then Nestor Mejia in the second Radical RXC, and then Isaac Rain in the second of the Morgan. So you've got, it's nearly almost 2x2 in this class at the moment. Isaac now closing the gap very quickly, actually, as they come down at the straight. You can see the speed trap as they enter the end of the straight, 250 kilometers an hour. They're hitting at the end of the hangar straight. So really quick, really, really fast down the straight. Oh, that's a TCR. Gonna be great save, Alex Day, in the middle of Maggots and Beckett's right there in the TCR. That is a front wheel drive for you there. Got loose, just plant your foot, point it in the way you want to go, and get it back going again. That is great for the driving from Alex Day, but I think he's going to need some new pants.
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome to the chat, Sakame. We see you out there, and you can get joining us with some of these brilliant races as we get some more drifting from the front wheel drive TCR there. That is some brilliant driving from Alex Day here.
Yeah, absolutely. Alex Day getting it really sideways. It won't do his tires any good, though. The rear tires obviously not in the operating window, or he's overheated them a little bit from going sideways initially. So not what you want in a TCR, but great save, great bit of driving nonetheless. Dunbar up here at the just closing up to the rear of Denny Dunn. That's Archie Dunbar-Rees, who's also new in this one as well. He's closed up to the back of the Chevy Camaro of Denny Dunn. And let's see if we can get that Ginetta past this machine in front of him. And we'll see how the Ginetta holds up as he in the slipstream now through turn 1. There's Isaac Rain passing. Well, he's in a battle with Nestor. We'll keep our eyes on the GT4s here, though, around the outside for Dunbar-Rees. Has the inside for turn 1, and that is, or should be, the move done. Denny Dunn tries to get it back up the inside here in that Chevy. Can he quite get alongside? He's got a nose in there. Dunbar-Rees leaves him the room. Still side by side as they come onto the Wellington straight. But Dunbar-Rees looks like he's got that done. And he comes down into Brooklands now. The Chevy still not giving up, though, as they're coming down to Brooklands, but not quite able to get up alongside here. He thinks about the move, but Dunbar-Rees has the job done as Denny Dunn tries to go all the way around the outside, but not quite working out for him there. So good job there. As that was happening, Isaac Rain has finally managed to pass Nestor Mejia for P5 as they come into the next zone. There's Isaac Rain, and you can see now it get a little bit interesting up the front, because the last time we checked in with Cody Pride and Morgan Short, that gap was at about 2 and a bit seconds. It's now 1.6 seconds. So Short has brought the gap down by a second in almost, like you see, he's gained 0.6 of a second on that lap. David Hornsey going well in P4 as well, beginning to that Morgan starting to settle in now into this race. The Morgan seeming to come back later on in the stint, so watch out for that Morgan for this as they come through the next part of the Morgan Short, starting to make some inroads in that Radical RXC Turbo, tin top Radical, and let's see what he's able to do. Equal gaps between the top 3, 1.7 from Pride to Short and Short to Whitehead. And then Hornsey 1.3 back. Isaac Rain with a bit of work to do now, 4.4 seconds, but he managed to bring up he brought back a huge deficit in Donington, right, and he worked himself back into the field. So be interesting to see what happens with that in the Morgan. Seems to be a little bit better on the fuel compared to the Porsches. The Porsche had to take a little bit of a splash of fuel. The Morgans didn't have to. They were able to go very, very long, put any fuel in, so they gain time back in that regard. So interesting to see how it goes here. Fuel usage could be different here compared to Donington, so we'll have to wait and see how that goes. But
I just want to mention, how about that racecraft between Archie Dunbar-Rees and Denny Dunn there? Both so clean throughout, and it seems they're both quicker than the drivers ahead of them. So look for them to move up the order here as we come through. These were a couple drivers that had to start towards the rear there. I know that Alex Dunn started from the pit lane, as did Peterson. I can't confirm with Dunbar-Rees, but compared to his pace right now as to the drivers ahead, I would assume that he started from pit lane as well.
I think they all did, yeah. I think some of these guys have to reconnect into the session, so they've got some little bit of work to do now coming from the back. Landon Carlson catching up to Ash Dainty and the other Camaro. Dunbar-Rees also closing into them at the same time. So we'll see these 3 different cars, Camaro, Cayman and Ginetta, and that will be able to fight it out for position here in this race as they across the line, begin lap number 5, 10 minutes gone already. It's a long lap around here, so don't be surprised to see some pit stops at the very start of the pit window. So the pit window, they cannot pit now. There is a pit window that you'll see open up at the top of the screen, and that goes up right up until the last 15 minutes of the race. So don't be too surprised to see some guys come in very early, or perhaps very late, as we saw last week. David Hornsey taking it all the way till basically the end of the pit window until he brought that Morgan into this one, and he's keeping Luke Whitehead honest at the moment as they come through Luffield, just trying to get that Morgan turned in. Big front engine machine here as they come down towards Copse Corner. It's a great sounding car, isn't it?
Yeah, it's beautiful. And here we can see Hornsey really pushing along, though. He's lost about 4/10 to Luke Whitehead on this lap. It looked like he was closing in, maybe a lap or two away from a potential overtake, but Luke Whitehead opened it up once again, though I see that delta decreasing again here. So these drivers really matching each other throughout the track.
Absolutely great. It was great on board there. You could hear the supercharger just whining away in the tried to get underway. As now, look at this, Dunbar Reese up the inside of Landon Carlson into turn 1. He's making good progress. Is Archie Dunbar Reese, the Scotsman now, and he may get 2 for 1 here on the outside of Ash Dainty as Dainty runs wide. Plenty of room is left by both, and that is 2 cars in 1 corner basically for Archie Dunbar Reese, up to P11 overall now. That was some opportunistic stuff from that one as well. As you can see, race control giving the drivers a big warning there to stop running wide at cops from race control there, as Landon Carlson tries to get up the inside of Kamara. It almost nearly scares Ash Dainty off the road there. Landon Carlson goes side by side. That's also allowing Ola Peterson in the big Maserati to get involved as well. It's a 3-way fight there just behind. Ash Dainty trying to hang on here, and see now this may end up going through. It's not Ola Peterson, sorry, Denny Dunn is getting involved. Coming now, Landon Carlson on the outside of Copse Corner. Is he brave enough to go around the outside of Copse Corner? I think he might be, you know. He's keeping it in. He's got the run on the outside. So much room left by Ash Dainty. Now they're going 3 wide down towards Maggots Beckett's. Why not in Class 2? Here they come. Now they go back to single file almost. Landon Carlson just trying to go in past that car of Denny Dunn. Dunn gets it done, for want of a better term, on the inside of Ash Dainty, and they're still side by side on the exit through Chapel. They'll come, and look at that, they're still at it down towards Stowe Corner. They come. The 2 Camaros are side by side down into the next corner. Landon Carlson under attack here, and let's see if he's able to hang on as they come into the breakings. A big lunge from Denny Dunn up the inside. See if he can make it stick in that big Chevy, and he can, and he's through past Landon Carlson, and they're going to fight it out for a while longer now. Ash Dainty looking up the inside, can't quite get it. This is great racing down the order, and well, eventually it's and Ash Dainty loses it on the exit there, just looping that Camaro around a little bit, but it was eventually Denny Dunn who came out on top in that great little scrap down the order.
Yeah, and as I was watching that battle that you were bringing us there, I got word from an engineer there that Cody Pride has been running exclusively on mediums in both quali and race. However, Morgan Short was on softs in quali and now on mediums in the race, so that could explain the bit of differential that we now have. And we'll switch over to the tires. We can see there the top 3 on mediums with the bottom 3 on softs there.
Yeah, this is almost like a carbon copy of what we saw last time. The Morgan's going for the compound, and the Porsche's going for the mediums. But yeah, that's interesting to note that there obviously was a lot of pace in that Porsche that they were running on the medium tire. The softs were maybe just overheating a little bit and running out of grip halfway around the lap. That can happen when you're pushing so hard. But the Morgans will run on the hard tires, and they'll be able to go quite long into this race. All the GT4 classes are all basically on the hard compound tire, so it's all up to them how they want to work it to see what their tire strategy is going to be, and when they decide to pit, because those softs will obviously come into effect. And you'll see there the pit window is officially open past the 45-minute mark, so a half-an-hour pit window is now open as Alex Day continues to absolutely fling that TCR car through Maggots and Beckett's sideways on the lock stops. But it's not exactly working for him pace-wise, because Peter Spano, who's the biggest mover so far, he's up 4 places, might be about to make it. P5, and that'll be obviously to get himself on the class podium if he can make it past Alex Day, who seems to be really struggling with the rear end of that TCR car.
Yeah, he was definitely having some issues there, but isn't that something that you're bound to be stuck with when you go for that front-wheel drive TCR? He's making good work of it, though. Still up there in P9. That's P3 for Class 2 there, but look out for Spano and Dunbar Reese. He's on an absolute tear. Look, he has cleared Dunn by 7.5 seconds.
Yeah, that Ginetta is going really well in the hands of... see if he can continue his charge. Look at the time difference, nearly 4 seconds a lap faster than the guys in front of him. So it seems now that really Archie Dunbar Reese could maybe be actually a contender for P2 here if he can carry on. This continues. He's got 20 seconds up to Alistair Leckie if he can clear these two cars in front of him. But I wouldn't discount him to actually close the gap in here. He's running really, really well. And we'll see if he can continue that in that Ginetta. He's got Peter Spano in front of him. And let's see how quickly he makes it past this other Ginetta. He's got to try and pass in this next part of the race. Archie Dunbar Reese in the 15 car. Look how late he is on the brakes into Brooklands compared to Spano. That is a huge amount. He's got so much pace compared to Peter here through Luffield. And let's see if he can get the exit. This should be the move done. He's got the run at the exit of Luffield. And I expect a brave move here from Archie Dunbar Reese on the inside. He's trying to force his nose in up towards Copse Corner. Inside for Copse Corner for Dunbar Reese. He's got the inside. Has he got the run? Yes, he has. That is another place for Archie Dunbar Reese as they exit the corner. Little bit of internet connection issues there as he makes his way through. But thankfully, no harm done for either driver by the looks of it. So Archie Dunbar Reese, well, he looks... Oh my God, Alex Day through Maggots and Beckett's again. I don't know if he's figured that out to be a fast line or not, but it's certainly fun to look at.
It makes you smile, doesn't it? Just a bit there. It's exciting to see the ability of control that these guys have over these cars.
Let's see as he comes into Stowe if that rear end starts stepping out on that TCR as well. The rear end very light and keeps it under control there, but look how fast Dunbar Reese is catching up to him. He's pulled a 1.7 second lead on Spano already after passing him in Copse, and now he's caught up to the rear of Alex Day, who's really struggling around with that TCR car, and it should be now. He should be able to get the move done on this lap if he keeps it up here. Here comes Archie Dunbar Reese, who started down the back. He had to start from pit lane 3 seconds a lap faster than Alex Day and 3 seconds a lap faster than Peter Spano behind him. So let's see the difference now as he comes towards turn 1. Alex Day trying to keep the inside covered as they come into the braking zone. Dunbar Reese going to go around the outside. Nicely defended there from Alex Day. And it's going to be now looking for the switch back here for Archie as he comes on, tries to get up underneath that TCR. Good traction from the Cooper though on the exit. And now we'll see Ginetta see if he can be able to make it past into Brooklands, because this is where Dunbar Reese is spectacularly late on the brakes. Alex Day defends the inside for now. Does the opportunity open up for Dunbar Reese here as he comes into the braking zone for Brooklands? No, it doesn't. He's going to have to stick behind for now and gets a little bit out of shape on the apex there, and then look how much he closes up into Luffield, but nothing he can do. He's got to sit behind in the corners. The Cooper's covered it off. Now he's got a great exit out of Luffield. Going to get in the slipstream of the TCR. Let's see if he can get up alongside is the next question. Alex Day going to defend the inside up towards Copse Corner. Reese is just about alongside. He's going to try to go around the outside. There's contact! Are they going to hold on to it? They do hold on to it. They made contact through Copse Corner and they both survived to tell the tale. That was almost a race-ending accident. Both sideways. Both came out of it in one piece. Great bit of driving from Alex Day and from Dunbar Reese, who tried to keep it in around the outside. Day goes wide through Maggots and Beckett's now as Dunbar Reese continues to pile the pressure on. Now he's got the run through Maggots and Beckett's onto Chapel, onto the Hanger Straight. Now he's going to have to try do it in Stowe Corner. He's got the run up towards Stowe. Defensive line from Alex Day. Now he weaves back to the outside, back to the inside again. Where is he going to go? Late on the brakes from Dunbar Reese on the outside. Going to look for the switchback underneath. That is superb from Dunbar Reese. The switchback of dreams in the Ginetta. Dunbar Reese finally makes it through into that P3 spot in Class 2. What a battle that was.
That was brilliant. And take a look at Archie's car here too. I don't know if you noticed on the bonnet there. Wakey, wakey, here comes Archie. Take a look at the rear. It's wakey, wakey. There goes Archie. He's up into P3 in that Class 2 category. Absolutely flying.
Brilliant, what a battle and a great bit of driving. Now Cody Pride is now caught up to them as well, so he's lapping the traffic, and he's managed to gap Morgan short by nearly 4 seconds now. So really, this PPR Porsche is really going well, getting through the traffic now. The front runners in Class 2, and it's Pride by 3.8, or nearly 4. Whitehead's a further 5.8 seconds behind Morgan Short, and then David Hornsey is about 1.8 behind there. Isaac Grain 4.5 back as well, and then Nestor Mejia 3.3 back. So Class 1 quite spread out in this early-ish phase. And now it'll be interesting to see how the pit stops play into this, because the further it's spread out, the more, I suppose, the more interesting the pit strategy becomes, because it's going to be a case of we don't really know whether the undercut or the overcut is the powerful strategy here, really, because it's such a long lap. It's over a 2-minute lap, and it's going to be hard to see who's going to make it first. But interested to see who goes into the pits first. It was the Porsches last time, and was the Morgans were the last to go. Well, Isaac Rain went for a very early undercut, and we'll see if he's going to do the same thing here. Not sure how far the Radicals can go on fuel. We'll be able to see when they're going to pit, but we're 10 minutes into the pit almost 10 minutes into the pit window. No sign of anybody coming in just yet, but obviously we could see that change very soon. The GT4s can go quite a bit longer, or a little bit longer than the cars out the front. And well, Tony Draper, he's been having basically a really easy drive so far. He's 13 seconds in front of Alistair Leckie, and Alistair Leckie's also on his own. He's 14 seconds behind Tony, and 24 seconds in front of Archie Dunbar-Rees. So Class 2 very spread out. Class 1 still quite close together, but still 5 seconds is quite a large gap within this phase of the race. 2:03.0 for Cody Pride, 2:04.2, so nearly a second loss right there from Morgan Short on that lap, as Cody seems to be very comfortable in that Porsche.
Tony Draper just doesn't make any sense right now. He's running in the 2:11s now. Archie Dunbar-Rees was just able to get in the 2:12s for the first time, and Tony Draper has been running 2:11s consistently throughout this race. I just can't believe his pace right now. He's absolutely flying, and to be only a minute and 15 seconds behind the GT3 cars at the 36-minute mark, it's actually the 24-minute mark into the race, that's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it really is. It's a great showing from Tony. He did the same thing at Donington not too long ago, and he's really showing what he's made of here. And well, of course, he's leading the Pro Championship at the moment with his win at Donington in front of Hornsey by a point. So if he continues that, he's looking really good for the Pro Championship as well. Luke Whitehead's leading the Sim category by 2 points over Cody Pride, so that's quite a close battle in the championship as well. So Cody needs this to kind of start outscoring his teammate Luke Whitehead here to get to the front of the Sim championship. And yeah, really, really good to see. 5.5 seconds the gap goes out to Cody Pride. I think this race at Donington, it was all about traffic management. I think here it's really going to be about pit strategy, because it seems now that the pace at the front is very clear, and we'll have to wait to see whether undercut or overcut is the most powerful strategy here. It's not quite sure how this race is going to pan out. It's kind of calmed down with 20 minutes of the pit window still remaining, so it's all now just waiting to see who's going to be the first to pull the trigger to come into the pit lane.
Yeah, I think it's important to note that this race is far from over, because as you were just mentioning with those pit strategies, we really have no way to know where it's going to go. We don't know if you pit early, you're going to come out and all of a sudden dominate, or is it you come in late and dominate? It's all up for grabs still, and we have 20 minutes of that pit window still left, and I don't believe we've had any drivers go in yet. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'll clarify for us by bringing up those pit stops, but yeah, nobody has stopped yet.
No, nobody has stopped yet, and I've noticed as well, Alex Day is now coming under some more pressure. He's got Peter Spano catching up to him as well as Denny Dunn. So the TCR starting to maybe fall away. I love his line through the last few corners because he abuses the sausage curve. The rear end just completely lifts off the ground in the last corner, and now he's going to come under a lot of pressure from the other two Class 2 drivers behind him, Peter Spano and Denny Dunn. So here they come, Ginetta and Camaro in tow towards Brooklands, but great exit from the Cupra down into the braking zone. And actually Denny Dunn's going to get the job done on Peter Spano on the inside into Brooklands. He brakes late and he's through up into the next position, getting sideways on the and gets it stopped and done. He almost gets hit in the rear by Peter Spano, but on the limit from Denny Dunn as he came into Brooklands, sideways on the lock stops, gets it stopped and done. And Alex Day is his next target, and this TCR, Alex has done very well to hang on to it for as long as he has, but it seems not quite the same
the understeer.
Strength. Look at the understeer through Kopp's corner as he tries to get it turned in. That's just pure front wheel drive. And we're going to see, look at Denny Dunn looking, probing for his way through. Now you'll see that TCR just start to get all kinds of out of shape through Magnussen Beckers. That's actually the cleanest I've seen Alex Day take it so far. Defensive line. But look at the traction from the Camaro through the second part of Beckett's. Through Chapel they come. He's in the slipstream now. The Cooper getting good traction through the second part of Chapel. Now he's going to have to go around the outside of Stowe Corner if he wants this one. Let's see if he can make the move stick. He's late on the brakes. Alex Day not going to let him have it easy though. He's got the inside. He's going to run into him. Going to be a little bit of contact on the way through the corner as the Cooper just understeers straight into the side of the Camaro.
That's what I was going to mention there, Jack, is that when you have these two cars going at it and you have Alex Day up the inside there, you need to watch out going around the outside because he's going to have all of that understeer as there's contact between Spano and Dunn here. But as I was saying, that understeer from the TCR, you need to be careful near it.
Yeah, I think that's probably what caused the incident earlier we saw between Dunbar Reese and him. He just maybe understeered into him. And Nestor Mejia is the first man to pit from the lead group. So first stop for the Radicals. It seems to me the first car in. Nestor Mejia going for an early stop. And let's see how that pays off for him as these guys continue to battle. This is Peter Spano and Denny Dunn. He's back up the inside of the Ginetta here. Can't quite get alongside Alex Day. A bit of breathing space here to try and get away, build a gap as best he can. And Denny Dunn is still looking for a way through past this Ginetta here. He's got the run, he's got the inside for Brooklands. He did this a lap ago. Can he do it? Yes, he can. He's already in front into the braking zone, going very deep though to try to cover off the inside for the next corner. That is, I don't know if he meant that, but it certainly looked very clean from Denny Dunn to just run it wide in the second part of Brooklands to cover off the inside for Lovefield. And he gets it in front, but the gap now opens up to Alex Day up to 2 seconds at the same time Peterson and Dainty swapped places in the middle of that battle. It's Oliver Peterson trying to make ground up again in the Maserati GT4 car in his new livery, getting sideways on the way through Lovefield as Morgan Short, he's pitted, so the Radicals have to pit early compared to the rest of the field. In comes Morgan Short, the first of the front runners, as Cody Pride now starts to dip into the 202s in this as the fuel begins to burn off. Alder Selecki in GT4 is in, Isaac Rain in the Morgan is in as well, so multiple pit stops starting to happen now as they start to work it out. Luke Whitehead's going to move into second, Hornsey to third. But at the moment, Cody Pride is lapping at a second a lap faster than anybody on the circuit at the moment. He's in the 2-minute 2s compared to everybody else.
That's incredible pace. He's able to consistently keep on. But look at this. He's just now catching Tony Draper. This is how long? Half race distance, just about. We're at the 30-minute mark. Tony Draper still is yet to be overtaken by the race leader, Cody Pride.
Yeah, he's still at the moment the only Class 2 car that hasn't been lapped. That won't last long, of course. He'll get caught up by that Porsche very quickly. But to last that long, a half race distance, almost exactly. He now goes, decides to go a lap down through Kops. And he's the class of the field at the moment is now Denny Dunn. Passes Alex Day in that battle as Dunbar Reese, he's actually pitted from that position as well. He comes out behind that battle. So interesting stuff now as the pit strategies start to take their effect. As
we have somebody out.
Oh, unfortunately, Denny Dunn's disconnected. Really unfortunate there for Denny Dunn. I don't know if he had a connection issue or he crashed out. I'm not sure, but Denny Dunn, unfortunately, ends up out of the race. He's the first retirement from this race today, so really unfortunate for him. But
From this
pit
series,
stops.
I believe.
First, yeah, that is the first retirement of the whole series so far. Denny Dunn not going to cross the finish line today, as now Peter Spano, the next man to try to get past Alex Day. Now, Cody Pride still 12, 13 seconds in front, and the gap from Hornsey to Short, that's kind of the one we probably need to watch, is about 25 seconds between them. So Hornsey obviously hasn't stopped, so it'll be interesting to see how that carries on. But you can see Isaac Rain with that pit stop. I'm not sure if Nestor Mejia had an issue on that outlap. He's ended up 35 seconds behind Isaac Rain. I'm assuming he had an off or something, but that's a huge gap that's ended up being now for Nestor Mejia, who was running there, but the gap has really opened up there to near 35 seconds, and really unfortunate that's happened to Nestor. But Isaac Rain running P5 now, as Spano now really close to that Cupra as they try to get through, switches to the inside, but Alex Day covers it off on braking zone, and that TCR car becoming a very wide machine indeed. The understeer taking effect mid-corner there, and now Spano, oh look how the speed difference to the last corner. He had to get out of it, and Dunbar Reese here, of course, he has already pitted, so he's going to try to make his way through on the inside of Spano here through turn 1, and he's clear, and a pit stop in front already compared to these guys. So Dunbar Reese is not really fighting with these guys. He's going to get past them anyway, but it seems now that is very, very close to a race-ending accident in that corner between Alex Day and Peter Spano.
Now, Jack, you mentioned that you were looking for Dunbar Reese to see if he could maybe grab P2 in this Class 2, and I was thinking, no shot, because Alistair Leckie has been absolutely flying, but now that I'm looking at the gaps, he's only about 9 seconds or so behind. He has caught massively up to that P2 position, so I think your initial eye test wasn't lying to you. He is flying.
Yeah, looking likely as he probes at the rear. Cody Pride is in from the lead of the race. There he is, and he's going to be hoping to repeat the same mistake at Donington. He missed the pit box last time. Does he miss it this time? No, spot on the marks this week for Cody Pride, so no issues right there. So a mandatory tyre change for him. Luke Whitehead will now lead the race here in Silverstone. David Hornsey, he carried on very long in the previous race, and I think he's going to do the same here this week. There is Morgan Short. So the question is, where does Morgan Short come out relative to Cody Pride's on the way out? That is a huge gap that he's got there. Tony Draper is only just behind him as well. He's pitted. So Morgan Short, there you go, is nowhere to be seen. And that is a massive, massive statement there. So it seems at the moment, the overcut is the strategy to go for.
But how about Tony Draper? He gained time massively on the race leader overall there, Cody Pride, through that pit stop. Look how close he is to the rear of that Porsche.
Yeah, and they're almost getting a lap back on him there as they come down. But it seems now that's now a 6.6 second gap between Cody Pride and Morgan Short. It was at about 5.5, so he's gained about a second in the pit stop there as Cody Pride. So Luke Whitehead should gain some time with an overcut. It seems to be the strategy here. So that will obviously encourage David Hornsey to keep going as long as he can here. If he can keep that Morgan going, there's 10 minutes left of the pit window, so he's still got time to come in. But we saw last time the Morgan seeming to come back in the second phase of the race. It was really fast at the end of the Donington race. So let's see if that Morgan's going to come alive in the last phase of the race. But right now, Cody Pride is firmly in control of the race as long as there's no big mistakes. And we'll see now, has Luke Whitehead come into pit lane, or has any of them come into Luke Whitehead has come into pit lane. And has David Hornsey followed him is the question. Yes, he has. So David Hornsey going to come in to take his mandatory pit stop. So let's see what the gap between Luke Whitehead and Cody Pride is going to be when they come out of pit lane. But I think Luke Whitehead is aiming to come out in front of Morgan Short here. This could be quite close. on the exit. Denny Dunn's made it back. Let's see if he get him back out on the circuit. He'll be a couple of laps down, but even so, it will officially not class him as a DNF here if he carries on. Here comes Cody Pride to retake the lead down the pit straight.
Oh, look at this! Hornsy's gone through on Whitehead.
Yeah, he has. He's passed him in pit lane, so that's the same time. That's the same thing that happened. And Morgan Short, though, is about to come around the first corner, and Short is going to get out in front. Is he? There he goes. And look at that from David Hornsey. And there goes Tony Draper past him as well. So technically, Tony Draper undercut a lot of them there with that one as well. So through he goes. But David Hornsey passing Luke Whitehead in the pit lane after his pit stop. Isaac Rain, just like he did last time, look where he is. He's right on the rear of Luke Whitehead.
Yeah, you know what? Tony Draper just makes me smile. He is so quick through here. He's nearly challenging the GT3 cars, the Class 1 guys out there. I know not for any track position. I know he's a lap down, but still being in the midst of this with only 23 minutes to go is just wild to me.
Yeah, it's really, really good stuff from him. And excuse me, but it seems like the Morgans just have not had to take as much fuel on that time, because that's the only way that Hornsey could have jumped him in the pit stops there. So Isaac Rain, he did this exact thing last week, took an early pit stop and has closed up to the back of Whitehead here. And Nestor Mejia is no longer in play, so he's safe from attacks from behind. So he can absolutely go for it. Whitehead's closed up the gap to, well, he's lost it. Well, overall, he's lost 3 seconds to Hornsey in the pit stops. And Hornsey's gained time on Morgan Short in that time as well. So let's see if Hornsey can close up to Short in the dying lap. So let's see if Isaac Rain can get past the Porsche here as they come down into Stowe. He's getting pretty close here. Is Isaac Rain in that Morgan. Not quite able to get alongside up to the braking zone here. Getting nice. He's so late on the brakes. It almost looks like a face following the wide open glare of the grill right behind you in your mirrors. And these two, of course, fighting in the Sim Championship together, denoted by the yellow banner on the top of the windscreen there as they come across the line to begin another lap. 7 minutes of the pit window left. We've had most drivers into pit lane now. 22 minutes to go in this race. Cody Pride leads by 7.2 seconds. Hornsey 4.2 back from Morgan Short. And then this battle for P4 between Luke Whitehead and Isaac Rain. And let's see if Isaac can get himself a P4 finish here today. He's probing at the back of the Porsche. But I think he's going to have to maybe get this job done quite early, because the Porsche seems to really go well in the early phase of the stint. So he's got to try and make it work as early as he can on the way down towards Brooklands. Not getting the exit out onto the Wellington straight that time. Just getting that front end, trying to get that front end to turn in for him. Difference between now, you got the Porsche rear engine Porsche versus the big front engine Morgan as he comes around Luffield onto the power.
Oh, it's so smooth, isn't it, that Morgan coming out of that corner?
It really is, yeah. The front engine just giving it loads of front grip, but also nearly too much front end grip. It'll just understeer off the road nearly if you take too much speed. In the Porsche, a little bit more lively at the rear with the rear engine. Look at the traction it got out of Copps that time. Really now right behind the Porsche of Luke Whitehead. Coming through Magnussen Beckett's great section, this winding on the steering lock, and he's so almost hits the rear of Luke Whitehead's Porsche there, and actually does a bit of grass cutting and loses time through the exit of Chapel there. So that Morgan very strong in the middle sector compared to the Porsche, and putting pressure on here Isaac Rain in this championship and trying his best to get that Morgan a little ways further to see if he can chase after his teammate here, David Hornsey. There is Tony Draper, who is 37 seconds in the lead of Class 2 with Alistair Leckie. There he is, who's now 8.8 seconds in front of Archie Dunbar-Rees. So these two lapping quite at the same. That was a little error from him there in the middle of Magnussen Beckett's. Actually, he lost nearly half a second with that one as well. So really now it's a case if Dunbar-Rees can keep this pace up as he gets a little bit out of shape on the exit of Beckett's onto Chapel, and he can continue his chase through the fields as we try to see if Isaac Rain can keep up this charge. But it seems now Luke Whitehead has started to gap him a little bit, so maybe that early attack from Isaac Rain, he needed to get it done then and there because the Porsche is now starting to pull a gap.
I do have to say just really quickly, thank you so much, Fun AC community, for rating the channel. We appreciate that very much. This is currently the ButtKicker British Endurance PPR E-Series, round number 2, brought to you by Silverstone and Jack and Kevin in the booth. This is such a brilliant race, Jack. We've seen so much battling going on, and you take a look at the timing tower on the left-hand side, you can see, as there's a bit of a spin there from Ollie Peterson, there's movement all over the field, but then you get there in the top of Class 2, and they've just stayed steady. Well, you would think so, until you go down to Archie Dunbar-Rees, who has, what do we call it, about 97 overtakes this race?
So close to that, yeah. He's had to make up positions about twice, I think, throughout the race. So you know, he's now trying to push after a P2 finish if he can. There's now Landon Carlson's coming to pit lane for his second stop, I think. Landon Carlson there. So let's see what he's able to do. For those of you who are watching, make sure the channel's only 6 away from 1,000. So make sure to leave a follow if you are enjoying this championship. Still plenty of rounds to come yet. As we look now to see Luke Whitehead now in the 2-minute 2s. So that is his fastest lap so far. And he's now beginning to put some pressure on David Hornsey, who at the same time is starting to make some inroads in the gap the gap that he's got to Morgan Short. So that's slightly coming down, but nobody's catching Cody Pride at the moment. 8.1 seconds up the road now, and he's done 20 laps this circuit now. Just another 17 and a bit minutes left of this race as Cody Pride now just gets past Ash Dainty in the Chevy Camaro. So now more traffic dealt with nicely from Cody Pride. So no mistakes in the pit lane this time for Cody, and he's really he made the move early on, turn 1, and he's basically been completely untouched since. So all it'll take now would be his own mistake to lose him the win today, but arguably the win he should have had in Donington.
Now, I just want to say something really quick. I know that Daz Pride's out there in the chat world, always supporting Cody here, who has been just an absolute dominant force in the sim world, especially for the PPR team as he leads this race. I don't even know that he's eligible to drive a car in the real world yet, as I believe he's just 15 years old, maybe 16 now, and Cody Pride's leading this race by 8 seconds from Morgan Short. He's just dominating here in this Porsche today, flying along with 16 minutes to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a common thing that you see nowadays with the modern age of sim racing. Guys as young as I've seen guys as young as 9 on the service who are winning races at a very young age. And yeah, it's at a case now where you learn early and perfect your craft, and you're not able to even get into a real car yet.
Shades of Max Verstappen, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, Cody, 15, 16 years of age, I think, at the moment.
Yes.
So his birthday in January, so he's be getting a little bit older in a few. Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure 16. So no, he's not eligible to drive a car yet, but from January he should be.
Yeah, well, you know what? Give him his license already. He's absolutely flying. Clearly knows how to handle at least a Porsche out there better than me. And here goes Cody Pride, still leading this race from Morgan Short there. Morgan Short, he's still flying along. So it goes to show how much Cody Pride has dominated here, though we still have that 15 minutes to go that I had mentioned. And could Morgan Short close that gap a little bit? Yeah, I think so, but unless there's a massive mistake up front, I think this is all Cody Pride's to run away with.
Yeah, it really is. So he's going to have to just focus now. David Hornsey 3 seconds behind Morgan Short, and Morgan can't relax because he's being chased by Morgan. And Luke Whitehead is also making inroads on him as well. 2.9. That gap is as Danny Dunn having more problems with the connection, and he disconnects again. So unfortunate for him as David Hornsey gets caught up behind Peter Spano into Ginetta in the middle of Maggots and Beckett's there. That's not ideal for him to get caught there. And Morgan Short, he got really caught. Look at that, 1.3. The gap drops all of a sudden. And now the gap to Cody Pride is now 10.6 seconds. As Morgan
there's
Short,
clipping.
Yeah, there is clipping, so that's probably why Morgan Short is maybe easing off a bit. He can't exactly tell where Alex Day is, and David Hornsey all of a sudden is right with him. So the Radical is under pressure from David Hornsey in the Morgan, and this could really turn interesting now. He's trying to get past that Cooper TCR. He eventually gets through in the last corner, and Hornsey has the gap made for him, and through he goes into this next sector, and that is over a second and a bit lost on that lap by Morgan Short. And there you go. It's the massive rear wing just giving no visibility to the car behind of that Radical. Also Luke Whitehead closing the gap by a second to David Hornsey on that lap as well. So this is going to be a battle.
Contact!
He touches him.
No!
Round he goes. And Morgan Short gets tapped around by David Hornsey, who's trying to wait for him. And through goes Luke Whitehead, pass into P2. And that is how quickly it can change. Misjudged by David Hornsey. Taps Morgan Short around. And Luke Whitehead moves to P2. It's now a PPR 1 and 2 at the front of the field here in Silverstone. And now David Hornsey's got to try and recover here. Isaac Rain moves up to P4. That's the P4 he was searching for earlier on. And now he's got a chance maybe at a podium. David Hornsey trying to put the pressure on Luke Whitehead, and Cody Pride's lead is now in nearly 15 seconds. All of a sudden,
I can't believe it.
It's unbelievable. That is how quickly it can change. A small misjudgment by David Hornsey on the brakes into the left-hander, and it's all of a sudden it's now himself in down to P3, P2 for Luke White, and then Morgan Short demoted to P5. Hopefully not too much damage on the Radical, but David Hornsey now is in full attack mode behind that Porsche as he comes through. Max Beckett's a little bit wide from Whitehead on the exit. Here comes Hornsey. He's got the run on the exit of Chapel, getting in the slipstream now. You can see Whitehead weaving a little bit down the straight to try and break the toe as they come into Stowe. Now he's not quite alongside though as they come into the braking zone. He's thinking about a little move here, and he gets right up underneath the rear wing of the Porsche. Isaac Rain watching in the wings and waiting as I think there's been more problems for Morgan Short. He's now 14 seconds behind Isaac Rain, and I think he's had an off somewhere on the circuit. 18 seconds it goes up to now. Yeah, I think Morgan Short, yeah, look at that. He's completely stopped on the hanger straight and pulling off to the side. So it looks like a...
Can I clarify real quick? It looks like ping issues for Morgan Short, so nothing to do with driving capability. I think he's had some issues with the connection itself. Yeah,
unfortunately for him, so he's not going to be showing correctly. So whether he could be driving perfectly on his screen, but fortunately he's not going to be able to see that. And look at the run from Hornsey. He's got up alongside, had to get back off on the exit though. And the Morgan's done really well, very wide from Luke to the AstroTurf, and Hornsey's got the run now down towards Brooklands. He hasn't quite got alongside though, so Whitehead is feeling the pressure now from David Hornsey behind him. Up towards Luffield he comes again, trying to probe his way through to try to stop a PPR 1-2 onto the power he gets on the exit of Luffield. And Isaac Rain is just watching and waiting behind to see if he can maybe pick up a free position from this, if there is contact between them. And through Copse they come again, and it seems now this is where Hornsey is super strong. Through Maggots and Beckett's Chapel, let's see if he can make it work. You'll see him now on the way through. Let's see if he's able to close up as much as he has done on the brakes. Even there, that's a 10th nipped away by Hornsey on the exit. Now there's another 10th gained on the exit of the second part of Beckett's. Now he's got in the slipstream. He's got 0.3 of a second back, 0.2 of a second back, and he's visibly closing in, but he's not quite got a strong enough of a slipstream. And that is unfortunately the stricken ping issued car of Morgan Short stopped on the straight there, and hopefully he'll be able to reconnect, or we'll be able to see him correctly on our screens here as we tick now 10 minutes to go in this race. So another 5 or 6 laps remain for these guys. We'll just maybe probably have 5 laps to go in this race, and Luke Whitehead is absorbing this pressure from David Hornsey very well as the Morgans, as they did in Donington, start to really come alive in the last 10 minutes of the race. And the last time there was a battle up front here, it did end in tears for the Morgans. So let's see if they can keep it together with just a few minutes to go. Hornsey taking a wide line to try and get a run, as Shorts is now in the pit lane after all that strife he's been enduring in this race. So
such a shame for Morgan Short, isn't it? I've been looking at the chat here. They want to see a replay of what happened just a couple of laps ago. I do have it stored there, but we need to stay on board with this battle between Hornsey and Whitehead. Once this gives way, then we will show that replay, but until that moment, I don't want to click away and miss something here, because only 3/10 apart, Jack, before we go into Maggots and Beckett's, where we know Hornsey can close in massively.
Yeah, and we've just had it confirmed as well. It actually wasn't a ping issue. It was Short's pedals gave in. So it was a hardware problem for Morgan Short, and that's why he stopped on the straight. He completely no accelerator, no brakes. So that's that is cruel for Morgan Short. Look at David Hornsey. He's so nipping away. That's a mistake in the middle part, though.
Yeah,
he got a little bit too close. And now on the exit, he's now 0.7 of a second back, and actually Isaac Rain's now in his draft. That's going to Isaac Rain with him as well, 0.9 of a second back. So this is going to be a 3-car fight between Luke Whitehead, David Hornsey, and Isaac Rain for the win in this one, with a few more laps left in this race. So let's see what happens now, as Morgan Short now just having to sit in pit lane and watching the wings as the race continues around him with a few minutes left on the clock. I would like to point out as well, Archie Dunbar-Rees is closing quite fast on Alistair Leckie. 5.2 it's down to now. It was about 8 the last time we checked. So Archie is making inroads. It's not all said and done yet. If he can keep up that current pace, he might have a chance at second. But, well, nobody's got any chance on Tony Draper. He's 46 seconds in the lead.
Yeah, he's absolutely massive there. While we have this little bit of lull, I know the battle's close, but let's go ahead and take a look at that replay there. We saw a bit of battling going on in this Class 1 incident here. We can see the contact between Hornsey and Morgan Short. This would be the same lap that Morgan Short had issues with his pedal, but look at Luke Whitehead. Went right up the inside there. You can see the TCR behind, and this is still a battle that we're watching right now. We'll see it once again there. There's contact between the Radical and the Morgan there, and it's actually a Morgan and a Morgan, if you will. Morgan Short being contacted by Morgan, and it has been interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, it really has, and the battle rages on. As you say, Hornsey still putting immense amounts of pressure onto Cody Pride as they come, onto Luke Whitehead, sorry, as they come through Maggots and Beckett's. And it's Morgan. The Morgan is so strong through that sector there, but Luke Whitehead is just doing enough to hang tight. And Isaac Rain is being dragged along in this one, so he's still very much in the hunt for a potential podium here, Isaac Rain, which he unfortunately was robbed of last time in his fight. Oh, that is another off for the second Radical. That is Nestor Mejia, who's gone off on the exit of Brooklands, I think that is. And he's looped it round on the exit of that. So just under, that was Cody Pride crossing the line with just about 6 minutes to go. So looking like it's going to be tight whether we get 3 laps. We're going to get at least 2 more laps in this race. We may get a third. It depends when Cody Pride crosses the line. About a 2-minute 2 lap here, 2-minute 3. So quite a little ways here to go. So it'll be interesting one to see if Hornsey is able to get this move done, because right now where he is, it's not looking like he's actually going to be able to get it done, because Luke Whitehead is holding on very well, and every attempt that Hornsey has made, he's managed to fend it off.
Yeah, and I'm taking a look here. A little bit of a fun fact out there. Our podium sitters from last week were Pride, Whitehead, and Hornsey, but none of them were in the current position that they are at now. Whitehead finished P1, Hornsey P2, and Pride was P3. It's all gone lopsided now. Pride P1, Whitehead P2, with Hornsey P3. So It shows that a little bit of pace differential or maybe track difference. Who knows?
Oh!
Oh, there goes the genetic getting involved with this. I believe that's Archie there. That looks like Dunbar Reese's car. It is the driver currently P8 overall, P3 in that GT2 class. And now this is hard for Dunbar Reese because he's trying to catch Alistair Leckie. He's under that 4-second mark, but he's trying to not ruin the race for the podium sitters there in that Class 1 battle. This is definitely a battle to watch now between the top 3 in Class 1.
Yeah, that's really spiced it up a bit because it's just Luke White was a little bit indecisive getting past the traffic there, and that just allowed to get away a little bit, but he's managed to get the gap back up. He's getting the slipstream off the Porsche in front of him. It's actually benefited Isaac Rain the most because he's now only half a second off the rear. So let's see, lap 26 begins, and we're going to get another 2 laps, I think, here at Silverstone for this race. Let's see how we get on. It all depends when Cody Pride crosses the line at the end of this lap, whether it's going to be another 2 or 1 more after this. So it's going to be now Isaac Rain in the 2-minute 2s. He's one of the fastest men on the circuit now, and he's putting pressure on Hornsey. Look at this very through the first corner. Here comes Isaac Rain on the outside. Outbreaks. Hornsey does not fight it. It lets him through. It's all up to Isaac Rain now to try to get the move on Luke Whitehead if he can. But has that given Luke a little bit of breathing space? The gap's of 1.2 seconds. So Isaac now really fast. But I think the gaps maybe open out a little bit too much now. I think the Morgans are going to have to battle it out between themselves for the final podium place here in Silverstone, or they're going to have to work together to try to catch up to the rear of the Porsche. But it doesn't seem like it's going to work. That little battle, Hornsey slides into Brooklands, nearly slides into the rear of Isaac Rain. But at the moment, I think it's going to be enough for Wyatt to hang on here. The gap's 1.6 seconds. That little swap and little wide moment from David Hornsey in the first corner has maybe now ended the battle, unless Whitehead makes an error.
Yeah, I'm watching Cody Pride now. I'm interested to see when he crosses the line. We're going to have 2 more laps here, I think. I think he's going to cross the line here and be able to get through another lap quite easily. Well, it's going to be very close, isn't it? As we're right there. 20 seconds he has to get to the line roundabout. He's been running into those 202s. 203 has been about that race pace, the mid 203s or so. Oh, and Hornsey's off!
Oh, big off. Big off for David Hornsey in the middle sector, and he's had to rejoin, and that drops him 10 seconds off that battle for the positions here. So, that is unusual there, as Cody Pride's began the next lap, and he's crossing the line. So this is going to be the last lap. This is the last lap for Cody Pride here at Silverstone. So he's led from lap 1 and hasn't looked back since. So it could be now the perfect day for PPR, but their cars are 1 and 2 here in Silverstone, as Peter Spano is caught up to Alex Day again. These guys have fought it out for the past hour for this position here, and this will be for P4 in class. But I think time is just going to run out for Archie Dunbar Reese. He's brought the gap to 1.9. 1.9 is he needs to make up another second and a bit on this lap. He's on his last lap now, and he's got David Hornsey behind him, so he's hopefully going to lap him without too many problems. And there he goes, past him. So it's still not over for Archie Dunbar Reese, but it's going to be pretty tight. I think it might just be. I think he needed another lap or so to catch up to Alistair Leckie. It's just not enough.
I was going to say, Jack, I've been looking at Archie Dunbar Reese closing in as Peter Spano is closing in on Day, but this battle between Archie and Leckie, while it hasn't shown up on track, it's shown up in the timing charts, and this is such a great race from Archie Dunbar Reese. I know Tony Draper has absolutely dominated this class, but Archie has to be my driver of the day from Class 2. He's been absolutely flying here. He still has a chance to catch Leckie because of how quick he's been. Look at him. He just took 2 tenths out of Leckie in that corner alone. Now, at least one of those tenths comes back there, but still staying close enough, as I know Cody Pride's closing in on the final couple of corners.
Yeah, 15 seconds ticks down, so this will be Cody Pride's final lap. He's hit Holden Peterson! He's hit Holden Peterson! Now, thankfully, that didn't happen too much later. They just got caught out there by Ola Peterson, who was trying to come into pit lane. Ola Peterson's run out of fuel. I think he's trying to coax back the pit lane, but no matter. Drama late. Cody Pride redeems himself from Donington. He wins at Silverstone for PPR. Brilliant job. Lucky Dunbar Reese has caught him. Look at this. This is the battle for P2 going to the line here at Silverstone for the Class 2 guys. Can Dunbar Reese get past Alistair Leckie? It could be just a lap too late. He needs Leckie to have a horrible run in the last 2 corners. Here he comes. He's catching very fast, but it might just be just too little, too late for Archie Dunbar Reese. Alistair Leckie is going to hold. He spun it! He spun it in the last corner! He has a minute gap to Alex Day, but unfortunately now, he needs to get that car back going again, and does. So it's P2 for Alistair Leckie and 3rd for Dunbar Reese. Luke Whitehead makes it a PPR 1 and 2. Isaac Rain gets on the podium for the first time as these two continue to fight it out for P4 in class here in Class 2 between Peter Spano and Alex Day. Tony Draper, we didn't even mention him. He smashed out of the park. It's 2 from 2. For Tony Draper in Class 2.
Absolutely crazy there in Class 2, but how about this battle between Spano and Alex Day here? We're going to see Spano go around the outside of Alex Day, which might be a little bit risky there as we have that front-wheel drive TCR there, but here goes the TCR closing in. He's going to hold at least the lead into the corner now as we see the Ginetta close in behind of that Seat. Oh, and there's contact between the two on the final lap of this race. Day and Spano collect each other. Here comes, that's actually Tony Draper coming through as he's nearly a lap up on P5. Absolutely crazy how quick he has been, as a bit wide there for Tony Spano. But how about this last lap bringing us some entertainment here as Tony Draper will bring him across the line because he's been dominant here in Class 2.
Yeah, that's 2 from 2 for Tony Draper in Class 2. He wins at Silverstone by nearly, well over a minute. Absolutely brilliant from Tony Draper. Nobody has come anywhere near him so far this season, so brilliant job from him. Alistair Leckie on the 2nd step of the podium. Archie Dunbar Reese in 3rd. Your podium in Class 1 is Cody Pride and Luke Whitehead 1 and 2, and Isaac Rain. There's the formation for PPR. That's all the screenshots they need for social media. 1 and 2, their first 1 and 2 of the season. Our first 1 and 2 in the series as well, as they just give each other love taps into the wall. And yeah, great job from those two. And Isaac Rain on the podium for the first time as well. I think well deserved for Isaac as well.
Yeah, Isaac was crazy quick there towards the end. It's interesting watching all of the battling going on here because as we mentioned early on, it was the 2 PPR cars on the podium last week, but it was Hornsey in place of Isaac Rain, and now Isaac Rain on the podium as well. So it shows that all 4 of these drivers collecting a podium, the pace is absolutely tremendous.
Yeah, it really has been. It's been a stunning race, a stunning display of these, but the most spread out race we've had so far this season. And, thankfully, well, the drivers in Class 1 have been really fast to get in for some interviews here. So our top 3 are standing by, and well, I'm going to start off today. I'm going to have a chat with. I'm going to have a quick chat with our race winner, which is Cody Pride.
Give us 1 second. We'll be right back with interviews. Apologies for that.
With the ButtKicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. ButtKicker. The future is feeling.
All right, well, welcome back to the PPR channel, and we are here for driver interviews, which is always the fun part of the day, really. Well, Cody Pride is with me now in the box, and well, Cody, that is a nice bit of redemption from Donington. Missed the pit box in the first round. No problems today. Probably the most dominant win we've seen all season. How was it for you?
Yeah, it was great. I think if you caught the start, it was really good because Luke got a really good start, whereas I bogged down, and Morgan next to me got an average, pretty good start. But Luke had an amazing start, got side by side with Morgan straight away, and I managed to tuck in and get past him. And because I was on half fuel, and Luke was on more, I managed to pull away. And then obviously, it was just a bit of a lonely race from there, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely. It looked a tiny bit easier to get past the traffic today. Silverstone, a nice far wider than Donington to deal with.
Yeah, well, compared to Donington, it's huge compared to it. I got really lucky. Luckily, the back markers in this series is really good. They just get out of your way. So yeah, I didn't really have any problems. I think Morgan caught a little bit more traffic than me, which I mean, it can't be helped. But all in all, I don't think it really mattered to the final result.
No, absolutely not, and that puts you in good stead for the champ. Of course, you're in the championship fight up at the top now. That'll certainly help you close in on Luke. The 2 year fighting for the championship, of course. So, well, how's the feeling now? It's been 2 PPR wins from 2 rounds and a 1-2. It's looking really good for you guys.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think me and Luke are really close on the points now. We were saying in the middle of the race, it's not the championship we wanted, but it's the championship we needed. So it's going to be really good, I think. With Thruxton and Elton Park going to be quite exciting throughout the series. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Well, next round is Alton Park. So one of your favourites, or one you'd rather not do?
Well, actually, on AC's newer game, ACC, the track is really bumpy. But I think I've driven the AC mod for this Alton Park, and I think it's really nice to drive. I like the track, and I'm looking quite forward to it.
Good stuff. Well, Cody, congratulations on the victory, and we'll see you in Alton Park in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you.
So that was Cody Pride. And, well, Kevin, you've got our second place man standing by to make it a PPR 1-2, Luke Whitehead.
Yeah, that's Luke Whitehead there crossing the line as we saw the formation lap towards the end there. Luke, what an amazing race from you and Cody both. You're being challenged hard by those Morgans there at the end. Can you give us a little bit of insight on that battle that you had with Hornsey, and it ended up being a battle with Isaac too?
Yeah, it was really intense and really unexpected, to be honest. I mean, the start was the best start I've ever done. I mean, to get ahead of Morgan briefly was just... Oof, it was insane. I mean, me and Cody were laughing because we were like, that's the ideal start. You know, it's exactly what we wanted. One of us in the lead. Because obviously the Radical was just radically fast. hate the pun, but yeah. And then obviously we had the, as you said, we had the Morgans catching myself at the end. And to be honest, I was actually behind David and Morgan. I was kind of resigned to P4. I kind of expected to stay there. So I was shocked when I saw Morgan lose a lot of time. I think he collided with a backmark, unfortunately. And then, of course, he collided with David, or David collided. I don't really know what happened, so I only saw
It seemed
Morgan
that
backwards.
he had some pedal issues, just to clarify that for you so you're aware of what happened.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of issues there for him, so unfortunate for him, but the way we saw you driving that entire race was so clean and everybody else was so clean. Can you give us insight at least into how you saw other drivers committing to the racecraft?
Yeah, well, I mean, I kept out of trouble. That was kind of my approach going into the race. You know, I thought I had the pace for third. You know, me and Cody took a different strategy. We both took different fuel loads to see kind of what the difference was, because obviously we lost a lot of time to the Morgans. So we wanted to see what the reason was. Turns out I think it's just the Morgan being quicker on its tire changes, which is quite a fun little dynamic to factor into the race for each round. But it turns out my strategy wasn't as fast, I think, as Cody's. I think Cody had the measure of me on pace anyway. But yeah, as you say, just kept out of trouble. And to be honest, when I was racing with people, I was obviously racing with Isaac and with David. It was pretty, it was close but fair. And I was just quite lucky, actually. I kind of kept my pace, sufficiently to not be attacked by the guys, in the Morgans. They were extremely quick through the high-speed stuff, so through Cops, Maggots, Beckets and Chapel, and I just kept out of trouble and they weren't able to attack, which was really, really good, really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. Well, great finish for you. Great driving, a PPR 1-2. I hate to be biased, but I'm a bit happy about that. I'll toss it back over to Jack as he takes over for the P3 interview of Isaac Rain.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Kevin.
absolutely. Isaac Rain. Now, Isaac, a well-deserved podium considering what happened in Donington, taking another early pit stop, and it worked out for you in the end.
Yeah, I'm not sure it was well deserved. It was just lucky, if anything. I had no idea what happened up ahead with Morgan and David. I was kind of focused on my own corner, and then I see up ahead like a big puff of smoke. So I'm not sure what happened there, but yeah, obviously unlucky for Morgan. He was really quick in qualifying. Kind of dropped back behind the PPR guys at the start of the race, and that kind of got him in a bad scenario then for the rest of it. But yeah, it was a fun race. This Morgan's just so much fun to drive. It's difficult in traffic though, because the dirty air seems to have an effect, which is not something I've ever really experienced in a Assetto Corsa yet. But the brakes overheat, tires overheat, so it's very difficult passing anyone. So I'm grateful for the good pit stops because that actually kept me in contention.
Yeah, that's an interesting dynamic. What is it about the Morgan that makes it so fun to drive?
It's just so. I mean, you've got that big engine in the front, and then it's so loose in the rear. It's just such a natural racing experience, which is something you kind of don't get with GT3 cars. I mean, I guess because it's a GT2, it's a bit older, it's kind of older technology, just BOP to GT3. So, I mean, it's just such a natural driving experience. It's so raw. You can really, really wrestle it, which suits my driving style really well. So, yeah, great fun.
Yeah, well, it's certainly a good. It's certainly a great sounding car as well. Well, we have the next round coming up, Alton Park. We had a nice wide circuit here at Silverstone. I think it might be another tricky one with Alton with traffic.
Yeah, the dynamic there's not going to be too different to that at Donington, but being quite a thin track. So overtaking might be quite difficult there. Might be all about qualifying, which isn't too positive for me because I never do well on one lap pace. But I'll practice. I like Alton Park. I like this Morgan, so hopefully we can keep the tires and the brakes in some kind of window. Keep some kind of pace throughout the race and stay there to make most of those pit stops as well.
Well, great stuff. Well, Isaac, congratulations on the place, and we'll see you definitely at Alton.
Thank you very much.
And well, now we're going to toss over to our Class 2 guys, and Kevin is with Tony Draper.
Yeah, Tony, what an incredible race from you once again. I really don't understand how you do it because as someone who's tried to pick up this game once or twice, or I should say sim once or twice, I cannot manage to get the cars through the corner. Tony Draper does it with absolute perfection. Tony, how do you do it?
I wish I had an answer for you, Kevin. I really do. But it definitely didn't seem quite as straightforward from my side. You know, in practice, Archie was in the Ginetta. He was only 600ths behind me, so I was really expecting it to be pretty spicy at the start of the race, and it was going to be more about consistency than overall lap time. But I think he had a bit of a problem with his setup and accidentally strapped on his quali setup for the start of the race, so he ended up having to start from the pit lane, which just gave me a chance to run away a little bit at the start and then manage the tyres.
Yeah, I was going to say, you did just that, didn't you? You ran away with it, and can you give us a little bit of insight towards I'd say about 75% of the way through the race, you were really almost battling with the race leaders from Class 1. Can you give us a bit of insight into how you race that? How do you manage being so quick around them and not ruining each other's race?
It's definitely difficult, but as Jack just said, you know, Silverstone's nice and wide, so I think so long as you can stay ahead in a corner complex like Maggots and Beckett's, then you can make it clear that you're going to move off to one side, and that's the easiest way to not to lose any time, because it's all about just getting out of the way of them and losing as little time as possible, isn't it? But had a little bit of a ding-dong lapping somebody at turn 2, a couple of laps from the end, which put me on the grass a little bit. So it's definitely it's not always straightforward, for sure.
Sure, absolutely. And that Ginetta, how do you feel about it so far? It seems like you've been absolutely dominant in it, and a couple of other drivers. I mean, Archie today was dominant as well in that Ginetta. Are you comfortable in that car? I know that sounds like almost a dumb question, but it seems like I don't know that you could get quicker.
I mean, I'm definitely comfortable in it, for sure. You know, it's very similar dynamics-wise to what I race in Brick Car in real life. So, you know, the rear-wheel drive and managing kind of oversteer into the corners, it's very, very familiar. But that said, you know, it's still got its issues. It only comes with a hard tyre. And so there's no option for switching to softs or mediums, and we just can't fire them up. That entire race, the right side of the car was freezing cold. And so as you break into Brooklands, and as you know, you're trailing all the way in to the left-hand side there, it was 50-50 whether the rear was going to stick for you or not. So it has its own idiosyncrasies.
Well,
But
so I'm going to put you on the spot for a moment then, Tony, because you brought up that the right side was having trouble heating up, which we see with clockwise circuits, right? Do you feel that the Ginetta could be better in a counterclockwise circuit?
no, I think it would just be the opposite problem. You know, we just
Okay,
failed to
fair
get the left
enough,
side
yeah.
fired up. It's just inherent with the fact that we've only got a hard tyre, and it's you know, when we're carrying that much ballast, it's actually really difficult to spin up the rears and get any heat in it. So you're just kind of managing that all the time. You might have seen I was sort of first couple of laps weaving about a little bit on the straights in an attempt to keep the tyre pressures up.
Well, yeah, if we call that weaving, I would call that straight line for me, because you were absolutely flying regardless. So congratulations to you on your P1. I'm going to toss it over to Jack now as he takes on the last interview of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Last but not least, Archie Reese Dunbar joins me. What a drive from the back to come through. Was starting from the pit lane, loading your quality setup accidentally, and then almost getting P2. I think you need another, just one more lap, you might have got it.
Yeah, it would have been something. It was so close. I mean, on the final corner, if you run the tiniest bit wide, you just lose control of the car. And unfortunately, that is what happened, because I was more concentrated on, right, I'm going to try and stick with the Porsche in front of me. But yeah, I mean, other than that, it was a great result after a very, very hectic start, because what happened was I accidentally, or there was a mistake with the setup, that loaded my quali setup with only 8 laps of fuel. So I had to quickly leave and then join again, starting a minute behind everybody else. So yeah, it was a real recovery drive.
Well, that's I think that you must take a lot of encouragement from that, because coming through from a minute behind, almost getting P2. If you manage to get a solid qualifying behind you in the next one, you should be right up there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I got really unfortunate with qualifying. So I was about to set a lap that I think would have put me in P2, but unfortunately I ran the tiniest bit wide onto Stowe. And yeah, that just gave me track limits, and unfortunately that disqualified the lap time. But I mean, yeah, I'm happy with the result either way. It was a great result, and I'm sure my sponsors will be happy with that one.
Absolutely, given them good advertisement throughout. And well, I've asked everyone so far. Oulton Park coming up next. How are you feeling for that?
Yeah, definitely. I'm really excited for that one. As it's known as the Nürburgring. So yeah, it's going to be definitely tricky to overtake, but hopefully we won't have a repeat of this weekend where I start a minute behind, and hopefully I can actually line up on the grid.
Absolutely. Well, we all look forward to seeing that. Archie, congratulations on the P3, and we'll see you at Oulton Park in a few weeks.
Thank you.
So that is all our interviews, Kevin. We've got another break until we go to Oulton Park. I'd like this every week if we could.
Yeah, absolutely. What a brilliant race that we just saw there. So much fun to be in the booth with you once again, Jack. This is just a brilliant race, as we saw Cody Pride win there in the C1, and we saw Tony Draper win in C2. Brilliant racing. As I just mentioned, I know it's a bit redundant, but these guys, their racecraft is top tier, bringing just brilliant battles across the way. So is there anything else you'd like to add? Because this has just been incredible.
Yeah, well, yeah, it really has. And well, that's given Luke Whitehead and Cody a kind of a stranglehold on the top of the championship. After that, they're going to be very, very tight on points going into the next round. Tony Draper will still lead the pro category. He's got a full score of points from both rounds, 6 and 6 together. And well, it is going to be very close between Luke and Cody. I think they might actually be tied after this round, which would be interesting to see. And yeah, so interesting to see with the sim category and the pro category how that works out in the end. But it looks like at the moment it's going to be a battle between Cody and Luke for the championship. But then again, we shouldn't call it too early because well, it could change in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's far from over here. In a couple weeks' time, we'll be back on November 7th for Oulton Park, and I'm really looking forward to that because I think we're going to see some more battling going on right at the start of the race, and it seems like once you get that strong stranglehold on the pit conditions that you'll be able to lead this race. That's exactly what Cody Pride did. And just a reminder for everybody out there, if you're looking at the final race results and not taking into account what happened during the race, Morgan Short was flying throughout, was in P2 for most of the race there, ended up in the final position of Class 1 there due to some pedal issues. So look out for him to really challenge for these last 4 races here, Oulton Park, Thruxton, Brands Hatch, and so on. It's brilliant what we've seen so far.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we look forward to seeing you all in a few weeks' time. It's actually a 3-week break for the next one. We have it on the 20th of November at Oulton Park, then Thruxton on the 27th, and then of course, we have the final round on the 4th of December at Brands Hatch. So the drivers now have a nice 3 break to maybe relax for a week and then get back onto the sim and get back practicing again. But well, it's I'm gonna miss the series for about 3 weeks.
Yep, me too, Jack. It's been a lot of fun being here. Hopefully, we can do some stuff in the interim. Meanwhile, everybody out there in the chat world, stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy, and thank you everyone for joining us on today's brilliant race.